Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. Well, get your notepads out because Kate Rose has so much information to share with us today about toxins and neurological development and ways to enhance the immune system that you are going to want to pull over if you're driving and write some things down. Now, I will legally just remind you, we are not doctors. We do not play doctors on TV. We are not telling you what to do about medical decisions in your family. We are simply opening your eyes, hopefully, to new ways that you can positively impact the neurofunctioning of your children and the neurological development. Always consult a physician to make any decisions that affect your family this way from a medical decision-making point. All right, there's enough with the legal. Some of this content is a little heavy, just because we are talking about things that are affecting our systems and our children's systems. And the number one thing that I think, two things that Kate Rose mentioned is one, just following your intuition, because we do know what is best for our families so much. And then she also talks about just not being perfect and making small decisions. And I really appreciate that it's just one little step that can make a little difference and another little step that can make a little difference. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And as always, let me know what you think. I am here with Kate Rose, who has an amazing company called Kate Rose Wellness. Thank you so much for joining us, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great.
It's exciting. Well, let me quickly introduce you. So, as an intuitive transformational coach, Kate Rose works with her spiritual team to help people create a beautiful life of abundance, health, joy, and inner peace. She combines energy healing with her long-held passions for fitness, nutrition, and holistic living to provide clients with a comprehensive and practical approach that encompasses physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing. Kate Rose believes that improving your quality of life doesn't have to be complicated or expensive and should be accessible to anyone who is willing to trust themselves and commit to making simple changes. She loves to travel and is passionate about supporting organic and regenerative farming, small businesses, and others who care about healing people and the planet. I love that bio. It's so fun because it really is who you are.
Thank you.
You know, people can't see you on this video, but you just glow. It's been fun to get to know you over the past year and a half. And you just have this beautiful glow. So you're doing something right.
Oh, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that.
You mentioned in your bio that improving your quality of life doesn't have to be complicated. I completely agree. So let's just start with what you mean by improving your quality of life.
So when I say improving quality of life, I mean improving your overall health and vitality, also reversing and avoiding chronic conditions, and living a life so that you're not dependent on medication and supplements to feel good. And also when it comes to children, to help children build a strong immune system and to assist them in their natural development.
Okay, so we've talked in the past about toxins.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you believe toxins are so influential to a child's development? And then what research have you seen just to support that?
So children are more vulnerable to toxins because their bodies are still developing. And there are thousands of studies which link toxins to the development of children and also the development of their brains. So what I'll do today is I thought it'd be good to touch on three of the main toxins that affect neurological development and also the research that I've seen on those. So the first one I'd like to talk about is fluoride. So we know that fluoride is a toxin. It's found in our drinking water. It's also found in our toothpaste and other oral care products. And the idea of using fluoride is to strengthen the teeth and make them less prone to cavities. But the thing is, the best way to do that really is through proper nutrition and lifestyle. Unfortunately, many children don't have that nowadays. They eat a lot of processed food. There's a lot of toxins. They eat a lot of sugar and candies. They're not cleaning their teeth properly. So unfortunately, their oral health is not good. And that's why, some dentists do recommend the use of fluoride for kids. So looking at some studies, as of July 18 of this year, there were 76 human studies which reported that elevated fluoride exposure was associated with reduced IQ in humans. 64 studies have linked fluoride with reduced IQ in children. Some of the studies provide compelling evidence that fluoride exposure during the prenatal and postnatal of life can damage a child's developing brain.
Okay, I just have to stop you here. I'm mortified right now.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And unfortunately, many children now exceed the recommended daily fluoride intake from toothpaste alone, especially when it comes to flavored toothpaste, because they enjoy the flavor, they love eating it, and they ingest such a high amount that they're actually exceeding their daily recommended intake through that.
Yeah, because Teal doesn't spit it out.
Right.
I
No
can't
kid
get
does.
her. Yeah, I mean, I can't get her
No.
to spit that out. And oh man, I mean, we try to use natural toothpaste. I'm actually going to go check our toothpaste right now to see if there's fluoride because
Mhm.
I mean, I don't. So are there toothpaste out there that you can use that don't have fluoride that you would recommend or of?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. The brand that I personally use at the moment for the kids is Radiant. You can get it from natural grocers and other health food stores. I believe Whole Foods also has it, but there's many other brands out there. I'd encourage parents to just read the ingredients, make sure that it is fluoride free and also free of any other toxins.
We use fluoride to strengthen the teeth, like you said. And
Mhm.
I agree with you. The number one best way to do that is by decreasing the amount of sugar, etc.
Mhm.
What else can you do? Are there things that you can do to boost that? Is it calcium intake? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if we're not getting fluoride from toothpaste, we are still getting it in the water. What solutions do you have for that? Sorry. Just
That's
I'm like,
okay.
let's go.
Vitamin D3 and K2 helps with bone development, and yes, also calcium. So drinking, raw milk, good quality raw milk from grass-fed cows, gelatin, bone broth, etc., is going to help strengthen those bones, and also, sunlight exposure is important as well.
We can always get outside more.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, has more than one benefit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to note that 97% of Western Europe has rejected water fluoridation. Also, the FDA now requires a poison warning on all fluoride toothpaste sold in the US. So that's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I just got shivers.
Yeah,
That's horrible. Why do dentists say let's do a fluoride treatment?
because the majority of kids aren't living a healthy lifestyle. So
Okay.
the dentists are seeing a lot of problems with the children's teeth.
So my big comeback to that would be she has a very well balanced diet. We brush her teeth, frequently, and we don't need fluoride. Thank you very much. I've been doing it
Mm-hmm.
once a year instead of twice, which is what they recommend. But no, we're
Mm-hmm.
no longer doing fluoride. Okay, good to know.
That's what I do. And if people want more information, I'd recommend visiting the Fluoride Action Network website, which is fluoridealert.org.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think what the whole concept is our children with special needs already are working overtime, right? Their brains
Mm-hmm.
are already trying to work harder and overcome whatever it is that their body or brain is
Exactly.
doing. So anything that we can do to benefit that or make the
Mm-hmm.
brain work less hard, so that they can, yeah, you can put more energy to what is really important rather than fighting things like fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. And just a quick disclaimer here. We are not doctors.
Exactly.
We are not, I'm telling you that you have to stop using fluoride with your dentist. We are not doctors. This is just a conversation about things
Exactly.
that we can do. Okay.
Yeah. And I think ask lots of questions, ask your dentist these questions, speak with holistic dentists and get their opinion is really important as well. And then you can make an informed decision as a parent. Also, there is fluoride in our water supply. Consider getting a high quality water filter that does actually filter out that fluoride. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to ask Alex what our system does because we have a huge one. He often tells our guests, well, you could drink the water out of the toilet because it's all filtered. But now I'm like, okay, are we filtering out fluoride? Okay,
No,
cool. Okay,
no.
good. I've already got action items. All right. So you
All
said
right.
you have three. What's the other one, or what the other two?
Actually, I've got four, but the next one is glyphosate. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in the Roundup weed killer, and it's one of the most widely used pesticides in the world. You're probably familiar with it. Glyphosate is a huge problem to human and animal health. It's a probable carcinogen, and there are actually thousands of lawsuits currently in process of people suing the manufacturers for glyphosate causing cancer. In addition to that, it devastates brain development. It weakens the blood-brain barrier and allows toxins into the brain, which causes behavioural and health issues in children. The 2019 study found that children whose mothers experienced prenatal exposure to 11 high-use pesticides, including glyphosate, had a significantly higher risk of autism spectrum disorder than a control population. Studies have also shown that toxins such as glyphosate chelate or make unavailable the nutrients in our food, leading to body organ dysfunction, brain impairment, and many other illnesses. Glyphosate is a huge problem. It's literally impossible to avoid it because it's in everything nowadays, even our rainwater. But saying that, there are many things that you can do to reduce your exposure to glyphosate, including eating organic foods. They still have glyphosate in them because of pesticide drift from neighbouring farms, pesticides in the water, but it's a good way to reduce your exposure. Also, filter your water. There are water filters that do remove a high portion of glyphosate in the water. So there are many things that you can do.
For those people who are listening that are thinking, yeah, I'd love to only eat organic.
Mm-hmm.
Are there, I know there's like the dirty dozen and there's a couple of things that I've heard. Are there certain foods that you would definitely recommend if you had to use your money in one or two or three ways with foods? I know like leafy greens, berries.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you recommend if they had to choose which fruits and vegetables to or meats to do organic?
Yeah, definitely consider the dirty dozen and clean 15 for fruits and vegetables. Also, you've got to be careful with grains because grains and nuts test very high for pesticides, specifically wheat and oats. Glyphosate is often used as a drying agent for grains before they're harvested. I always buy organic grains if I'm going to buy grains at all. And obviously avoid processed food.
Holy jeez. All right. I promise we're going to get positive here.
Yeah. There's things you can do. It's not about perfection. It's just reducing your exposure and the overall burden that's on the child's body.
Right. Because that's really, hello, it's called For Our Special Kids. Everything that we do, all the choices that we're all making are for them. And obviously the benefits are on me as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or our family, not just me. But it is important to make some decisions that can optimize potential brain development, but also just functioning, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
functioning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't say
Mm-hmm.
that one.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it. But if you want more information on that, Mums Across America has done a ton of research on it, a ton of work on it. Zen Honeycutt and Callie Ryerson are both from Mums Across America. Callie Ryerson's actually Glyphosate Girl on Instagram. So she's got some great information there. Also, Dr. Stephanie Seneff, you can check out her research and interviews on the internet.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. The next one is EMFs, particularly 5G. There are over 10,000 studies dating back as far as 1906, which show the health implications from microwave radiation, which is a form of EMF. Recent research published in the National Library of Medicine shows that excessive oxidative stress triggered by microwave exposure from wireless radiation can lead to reproductive harm and neurological disorders such as anxiety, depression, autism, and Alzheimer's. Again, children are far more vulnerable to cell phone radiation than adults due to having thinner skull bones and developing immune systems and brains. And there is conflict in information on EMFs. Some information and research says it doesn't cause harm, but, as we've just talked about, there is plenty of research that shows the opposite. What I'd encourage parents to do is make sure that you're looking at independent research, and also check in with your intuition and see what makes sense to you and what resonates to you. I mean, recently they were looking to roll out 5G across the US, and the major airlines were very concerned about how 5G would affect the instruments in the airplanes. And they actually asked the Biden administration to delay rolling out 5G in certain areas because of that. Now, if it's causing such a concern to the aviation industry, what's it doing to our child's brains?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, think about it.
No. As I'm sitting here with my wireless computer, with my cell phone, outside of making sure that I put my phone in airplane mode every night. I know my husband does. I've heard that you can also buy a timer to hook onto your router, and then it just shuts off at whatever time at night.
Mm-hmm.
I have some, and again, I don't even know if these work. It makes me feel better that I feel like I have those EMF kind of pyramids, and I mean, I have all sorts of different things in the house, but what do you recommend for, again, we're really looking at how can we increase function and decrease stress, right? Just overall decreasing stress on a brain, on a body, on a baby.
So limit or avoid cell phone use for children unless it's an emergency and they have to be using it. Limit screen time and time around the computer. You can actually buy protective shields for kids, so something that they can put over their laps to offer some sort of protection. Make sure that they're not too close to the device is important. Consider using wired internet instead of Wi-Fi. I mean, turning off your Wi-Fi at night and all that is great, unless you live in an apartment and you've got 30 other Wi-Fis beaming in. If that's the case, consider purchasing EMF protection. We purchased a device from a company called Blue Shield. I think it's quite expensive. It cost about $1,200 or something. But basically, it neutralizes the EMFs in your area, and we actually take it with us when we travel. It's easy. You just plug it in. Yeah, I mean, crystals and organites and things do help. I don't personally think they're strong enough to block a lot of the EMFs, but they certainly help. So they're just some of the things that you can do.
Kate Rose, is there a way to measure it so that yes, that is working?
Yeah, they do have devices that you can use to measure the EMFs. I can't recommend any. I've never personally used one, but I do know that they are available.
And have you noticed since buying the device from Blue Shield, you said? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, that's an insurance company. I was like, that can't possibly be right. But it's not the Blue Shield insurance company.
No.
Have you noticed a difference in your family?
No. I noticed when we first got it, I was getting headaches, and I think that was like a detox. But I have not noticed a difference in the behavior of our family.
Again, I'm always looking at, is there research? Is there stuff to support that? I do know that what you said, like the aviation companies are bothered by 5G, and we know there's something going on. It's just maybe, is it as tangible as what we'd like? Right. Number 4.
So just before we move on, if people want more information on that, Dr. McCullough wrote a book called EMFs. You can check that out. And also, again, Mums Across America has some great information on their website about 5G, and also some ways that people can take action, ensuring that their schools are minimizing the impacts, etc.
And with your accent, I just want to confirm, is it moms or mums?
I say it as mums, but I know y'all
it's
say it as moms.
We'll put all that in the show notes. Kate Rose is going to give me all sorts of information, but I just had to, it sounds so much prettier coming from your mouth, so we'll go with mums.
Thank
all right.
you.
Thanks.
The last one I'll speak about is aluminum. So aluminum is a toxin. It's being found in every cell of our body, and it shouldn't be there. It has no known benefit to human health. So our main exposure to aluminum is vaccine adjuvants and infant formula, or some of the main ways that our children are exposed to that. And I spent quite a bit of time last year reviewing the research of Dr. Chris Exley, who's a university professor, and he's done a lot of work on aluminum. He's like the go-to guy for this. And he's got some interesting information, which I'll go through quickly now, particularly relating to people with neurological issues and autism. So what he's found is that people absorb aluminum differently, and people with neurodegenerative diseases have higher aluminum levels in the brain. The person's genetic predisposition contributes to the amount of aluminum absorbed. Cells which turn over quite quickly have lower rate of aluminum accumulation, and cells and tissues which have a slower turnover or no turnover, such as our neurons, are obvious targets for the accumulation of aluminum. So Dr. Chris Exley's team conducted studies that measured the aluminum content in the brain of people who died with a diagnosis of autism. They measured how much aluminum was in the brain, and they looked at the amount in the tissues. They found the amount of aluminum in the brain tissue of people diagnosed with autism was extraordinarily high compared to the brains of people with no diagnosis of autism, the exception being people with familial Alzheimer's. They found more aluminum in the brains of young people with autism than in any other circumstance. The microscopy studies enabled him to identify where the aluminum was in the brain tissue. They found the majority of aluminum was inside cells, mainly non-neuronal cell populations. They also saw evidence that the cells in lymph and blood were passing into the brain, carrying aluminum from the body into the brain.
So how, outside of vaccinations, which is a whole nother conversation we're not going to go down right now with this episode, how else are we being exposed to aluminum?
So a lot of infant formulas contain it. It's also in our food supply and again in our water.
By eating more organic, are we limiting the amount of aluminum?
Yeah.
And water filtration. It sounds like those are two really big
biggies.
Yeah, two biggies. That's some pretty intense research.
Yeah. Things you can do in addition to what we just spoke about. Dr. Exley found that if you drink silicon-rich mineral water, it can help carry the aluminum out of the body. They did that a lot with people with Alzheimer's.
What would be an example of a silica-rich beverage?
That's a good question. I looked at this last year. I can't remember the brands, but if you go online and you look at maybe Google Dr. Chris Exley, silicon-rich mineral waters, and see if you can find a brand in the US. Okay. He mostly talks about European brands because that's where he's based, but there are some brands in the US that you can use.
Mm-hmm. That's some great information. I know we have a lot of listeners that have children with autism, and it's not like you're going to miraculously cure autism. That's not what we're talking about, but it may enhance brain function. Exactly.
And also work with holistic practitioners, pediatricians, homeopaths, chiropractors, etc., to support your child's detox pathways when you know that they're being exposed to aluminum. So if you do want more information about his work, understandably, he is heavily censored. I went back through my notes that I took last year in preparation for the podcast, and I noticed that one of the videos I had watched was taken down from YouTube for breaching community guidelines. So it is heavily censored, but if you do want to review his work and be able to listen to him and make a judgment call for yourself, he has a newsletter on Substack on the internet called A Human Exposure to Aluminium. So that's something that you can check out.
I'm going to ask you to send all of this information so I can pop it into the show notes because, wow, you've given our listeners and me just a lot to think about. Wow. So let's transition a little bit to immune health. I know you wrote an article, so make sure that we understand what that was about. But I think that's a really important part of what you do is helping to enhance the immune systems of our children.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about all of the ways that we can strengthen a child's immune system.
One of the things, obviously, is to eat organic, real foods, avoid unprocessed foods, and also inflammatory foods such as processed seed oils, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, etc. And unfortunately, all these oils are found in a lot of restaurant foods and processed foods that we eat today. So be very conscious of, when you do buy something, read the ingredients and just understand what you're putting into your body. You can consider growing your own food, buying organic foods from local farmers, buying high quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, pastured pork and chicken. So just high quality whole foods. Another thing they can do is choose holistic remedies over pharmaceutical medication as much as possible. And honestly, one thing I've noticed in this country in particular is the overuse of medication. When you go and see the doctor, you only have maybe 5 or 10 minutes with the doctor. They don't have time to really explore the underlying cause of the illness and explore some natural remedies or explore natural remedies that you could use as prevention. But if you work with holistic practitioners, they can give you more of their time and more of their expertise. And the more that you work with them, the more that you learn, so that you are prepared when the child is sick and you know what to do yourself. Another thing is to use non-toxic personal care and household cleaning products. There are so many options available on the market today. Any products that you're not ready to dispose of yet, just get them out of the house to at least help you improve your indoor air quality. I use high quality water filters. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I know that the laundry room is one of the most highly toxic rooms in the house, just because of all of the toxins that are in just the laundry detergent, but then we store a lot of our cleaning products in our laundry rooms, etc. So it's good for me to hear you say that you believe that there are a lot of options now.
Yes.
I try to make a lot of our cleaning supplies. We use a lot of vinegar and baking soda and lemon oil. And there's a cleaning product by doTERRA called, it's an On Guard product, but, we use it a lot for stain stick. And, instead of using the Tide stick, I've created my own stain stick where I just take some, natural stuff and add water and in a roller ball. And I think it's just becoming aware that there are little things that you can do. I'm not asking anybody to just go throw out everything in their laundry room and think that it's just going to make everything perfect, but there are little things that you can do. I encourage people to dabble a little bit in that if you can find some extra time in your life.
Yeah. If not, there's plenty that you can buy that are toxin free.
Do you have any that you recommend?
Yeah, I love the Branch Basics line. You can buy those on the internet. They're not available in any stores that I'm aware of. And that's a comprehensive cleaning system. You don't really need any other products in the house. We used that for years when we lived in Miami. Ecos is also a great brand. It's EWG verified. There's so many different options. And check out stores like Natural Grocers and Whole Foods and things like that, because they have a lot of options there.
So you've mentioned that website. It's EWG, correct?
Yes.
Okay. .org?
I believe so, yes.
We'll check that out. Yeah. It's amazing. You introduced me to that like years ago, and it is incredible. You type in any product and it'll tell you where it rates on the scale of basically toxin. Some of it's red, some of it's green. You'll find out if it's in the yellow zone. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it if any of you want to dabble and go down this road. It really does help you make good decisions. I actually was looking for a shampoo for our exchange student, and I'm like, okay, she needs a curly shampoo. And I stood in Whole Foods and literally typed in every brand and found the lowest toxin level, and that's what we bought for her.
Yeah, so it's a great website.
Yeah, very good. Okay, continue. My apologies.
No, good. As we talked about, use high quality water filters for drinking, cooking, and also in the shower, because when you take a shower, your body is absorbing what's in the water, and there's no filter for that. It just goes directly into your body and your bloodstream. And also you're inhaling the gases from the water. And if you have a plastic shower curtain, you're inhaling the toxins coming off that shower curtain as it's been heated up in the shower. So that's just something to consider as well.
Well, and we often put our babies in baths and we're just soaking them in it.
Mm-hmm.
Would adding Epsom salts into the water, would that help at all?
Mm-hmm. So when my kids were really little, I used to bathe them in filtered water. Actually, our youngest had severe eczema. So I would bathe him in reverse osmosis water just to minimize any toxins coming into his body from that water. Epsom salts do help to draw toxins out of your body. Just talking about eczema, if you have a child with severe eczema, Epsom salts might be a bit too much for them because their skin's already overburdened by the toxins being drawn out. That's why they're so inflamed. So if you go and bathe them in Epsom salts, you're just drawing out more. And
Oh.
so unless they have severe eczema, it can be a good way to draw out toxins from the body. Yeah.
And then we also drop in geranium oil every now and then into her bath
Okay.
because I have heard that, like especially after she's had X-rays or anything like that, it's a detoxing agent. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll put in a couple of drops of geranium oil in her bath water as well, which it makes it
Mm-hmm.
smell beautifully.
Yeah, I can imagine.
This is
Okay.
so good.
Building a robust immune system for our kids really starts preconception. If you are planning to have children or another child, it's important to start before you get pregnant. Make sure you're eating healthy, living a healthy lifestyle, reducing your exposure to toxins, minimizing emotional stress, which can weaken your immune system as well. Try and aim for an unmedicated birth if you can. I know that every birth is different and things never go the way that we expect, but there is a lot that you can do to stack the odds in your favor of things going well. Another thing you can do is breastfeed if possible. And again, I know it's not a possibility for everybody, but that really does help strengthen the immune system because breast milk contains antibodies, probiotics, protein, sugars, and fats, which are essential for babies' development. And as a result, breastfed babies tend to have stronger immune systems than formula-fed babies. And breastfeeding also provides essential skin-to-skin contact and is a special time for mother and baby to bond, which helps to strengthen their immune system.
I'll comment on that just quickly. A lot of our babies were NICU babies for
Mm-hmm.
a significant amount of time, and it's very hard. There's a lot of guilt. I was chatting with another mama about this. Actually, Susan, she was the medical mama I just interviewed a couple of weeks ago. It was the one thing that we felt like we could control in that whole situation was giving breast milk to our babies. And yet when you're under that much stress and you've got beeping and just so many doctors around and so many babies and so much stress, it's
Mm-hmm.
extremely hard to get that milk to come in.
I
And
can
so
imagine.
I know it's one thing that we all really, really try to do. And yet, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. There are
Yes.
aluminum free formulas out there. And, we really challenged our NICU. I was able to produce enough for Teal. She was only taking literally like 2 mLs every 3 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
I could get out 2 mLs. And then as it grew, my production grew, or as she grew, her needs grew. But one thing that we did really challenge our NICU on was the formula that they were supplementing her with. And so we brought in our own formula. We had to go research it and bring it in and talk to the nutritionist and get approval from all of the doctors, but to use it for Teal. But we did, we didn't use what they provided. And
Mm-hmm.
now it was out of pocket. We had to do it on our own. But at the same time, there are things that you can do to help give yourself a little bit more control in some of those situations where you just feel like you have no control whatsoever when the doctors are telling you ABC about your child.
Yeah, yeah.
Something to consider.
And Jen, what are your thoughts on using breast milk donors?
Yeah, it's real interesting. We didn't have to, but I would have been fine with it. I'm not sure my husband would have been fine with it. I
Mm-hmm.
do think a reputable source. I don't think it's cool to just go on to your local Facebook group and find a mom that, because there's a lot of times I'll see that on Facebook. I'm like, mom's like, I've got all this breast milk. Who wants it? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't do that just because of what you're talking about. Were they eating organic foods? Were they being exposed? Because it does come through our breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm it's not a decision that we had to make. So I guess I can't talk openly from experience. I do think it's an option for parents, especially if they're really, really struggling. But I would definitely make sure that it comes from someone that you know and that you trust. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And I think something else to consider now is many children have food allergies, and they're not always the common allergies like dairy and gluten and citrus and tomatoes and things. They can be really unusual, and they can include some very healthy foods like bone broth and leafy greens and apples and bananas. And, so if you've got a donor who is eating those sort of foods, it's really going to be aggravating the child's immune system as well. So that's something else to consider.
Yeah. Huh. Good topic. That's a whole nother topic we could talk about.
That is another topic.
Wow. All right. Let me ask you if there's any other thing that you really think our listeners should hear that we've missed.
So I think another thing is just making sure your child gets to spend time out in nature, because the air inside is often more toxic than the air outside. So they're getting fresh air, they're getting sunlight, they're getting their hands in the soil and being around animals and nature. And it's just so great for their immune system. So I think that's important. And ultimately, what I'd say is, as a parent, follow your intuition. I think really that's the most important thing. Turn off the distractions and really ask yourself what feels right and what doesn't. And that's going to help guide you as to what choices are going to be best for your child.
I think that's a beautiful reminder for all of us. We do intuitively know what is best for our child and following that. But like you said, I mean, getting out in nature and then listening, right? In order for us to enhance our intuition, we have to be connected with ourselves. And that's meditating and doing whatever you need to do to feel like you can listen to your own messaging. Nice.
For sure. Definitely.
Nice. Well, I've taken a lot away. Obviously, organic foods, water filtration, following your intuition, making sure that we're reading labels. I know you're a huge fan of reading labels. I know that we've covered a lot. I want to make sure that we give a little bit of a shout out as to how they can find you and the article that you wrote. We'll put all of that in the show notes. But how can people find you?
I've got a website, katerosewellness.com. And you can also find me on Instagram, Kate Rose Wellness, and Facebook. And what I would say, just to wrap it up, is that it's not about perfection. It can be scary. Don't feel like you have to be perfect at everything. Just do your best, because just doing your best makes a big difference.
I love that. Well, there is one final question that we always ask everybody, and that is, what is one word that you would use to describe a child with special needs?
Beautiful.
Yeah, inside and out, right? Amazing children. Ah, cool. Yeah. Kate Rose, thank you so much for your time. I adored having you here. Your energy brought me, just grounded me and also empowered me. So thank you for spending time with us. And I hope people reach out to you, because you are a wealth of information and so many ways that you can help us. So thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or a caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.